Welcome to my tutorial for the final mission and Mother Russia Bleeds on hardcore. I figured I'd make a tutorial for this final mission because this one's gonna be pretty fucking hard, especially the final boss. That's the main thing that I think is gonna keep a lot of people from beating hardcore. If you got this far though, you've already gotten through a lot of hard shit because this mode is tough. It's really aggressive. The only thing that really makes it a lot more manageable is that at least you get checkpoints in this game and there's no lives or anything, so you know that works in your favor. What doesn't work in your favor is that if you do decide to put your PS4 in rest mode and the system shuts off for some reason, you do have to start the levels over in this game. For whatever reason, you know, it does give you checkpoints that you can start at infinitely, but when it comes to shutting the system off, if it's not in rest mode and the system goes off for whatever reason, then you will have to start the stage over, which is a pain in the ass on hardcore because, you know, the levels are hard enough to get through. So I decided to bang this out in one sitting for that reason. I just wanted to get it over with. It took me about 2 hours, a little bit under 2 hours, to do this stage. I hadn't played in a while, so of course every time I pick up this game it has kind of a learning curve, so I always have to readjust to the controls. But I'll try to break down anything that I think is significant that would be helpful. As I've mentioned in a lot of my videos, the Ripper 999, he did some great gameplay of this game, played it a lot heavier than I did, and he gave me some great tips for the final stage, which was to use this guy Sergei and use him for the final level because he has a nice balance of speed and power. You know, he's not the most powerful, but he's got speed that apparently is really useful for that final boss. Now, while I didn't test the other slower characters that I usually use on the final boss for hardcore, I just took his word for it, you know. But I can't do a good comparison because I didn't actually test it. But I would recommend using this guy because it went pretty smooth for me, so I can definitely recommend it as well. As usual in this game, it's really a game of fast crowd control because, you know, the game is very fast and aggressive. I'd recommend using slides a lot and grouping guys together and sliding so you can knock them all at the same time and get through. Remember that hitting triangle for kicks is also a good crowd control move because it knocks guys back immediately when it lands. So it is a little slower, but that's also another thing you can use. I didn't use it much in this run, but it would have been useful probably. Aside from that, you know, throwing guys to get them off of you, sliding, like I said, in the slide, I'm not going to explain all the controls, but I'll try to explain some of what I remember about the controls, even though I just played it. You press forward twice to either run or dash, and then triangle to slide, to do the slide kick. And there's a faster way to do that, and that's the way I do it. Is you hit the you hit R1 to go into your run dash immediately, and then triangle right after. That's a faster way to do it. Don't press both buttons at the same time because that won't work. But just first you press R1, then you hit triangle, and then you'll get it. There's actually a lot of moves for a simple beat 'em up in this game, but you know, there's really only a few that you're gonna use heavily, most likely. But yeah, this is pretty standard at this point. As far as if you've gotten this far, you've already dealt with, you know, a lot of these types of fights. It is tricky, of course. But yeah, try to get the bats as much as you can because they do a lot of damage. I recommend using the standard syringe that you start with. You can unlock more by doing the arenas, but I only unlocked one other one. But I just like using the standard syringe because it's reliable. And of course, when this, you know, I mean, the syringe is pretty basic part of the game, so you should know how it works. But one of the triggers will use your syringe for healing. And I believe R2 will use your syringe for your berserk mode, where it doesn't heal you, but you go into a rage mode and you can beat the shit out of guys with it. That's kind of the basics of the game. And then you can extract off of pulsating bodies that are twitching on the ground by holding, I think, L1 over the guy's body. So those are some of the basics. But you probably know that if you got this far. I like using rage mode on this last one to take out this last wall. Because, you know, you got this guy harassing you, so I just found it easier to use the rage mode. These SWAT guys can be very annoying. So, sometimes I'll use rage mode on them to take care of them. While in rage mode, if you hit circle, you'll instantly kill a guy. And usually in rage mode, I'm able to do that twice if guys are right next to each other. I can get 2 instant kills. And you'll see me do that later. But yeah, just stay on the move and try to keep these guys grouped together as usual. And this is your checkpoint right at these fat guys. It's your next checkpoint. So yeah, I think you'll see me... I guess I didn't do it here because the guy interrupted my move with that punch, so kind of fucked me up. I was going to try to probably grab both of them and kill both of them instantly, but I think the guy interrupted me from doing that. But the thing is, every time you get a checkpoint and you die, you get your rage meter or your syringe filled back up fully. So, you know, you're able to utilize it again fully. The gun guy can be annoying, so I would suggest just don't stay on the same plane as him. Move up and down and just shoot him to death. Of course, if you can get him on the ground, you can shoot him in the head with a finishing shot to the head, or just ground pound him to death. But he was off screen, so he was kind of pulling a little bullshit. I recommend, you know, trying to carry over one of the guns for the SWAT guys and take out a few of them with the gun headshots. They're pretty much like instant kills. Maybe it's 2 shots to the head, I'm not sure, but they kill those guys fast. Now this part, it's tricky, but there's a good technique that I like to use, is not to focus on it doing any combos or anything. Just throw the guys and slide, basically. And just keep moving. If you can, try to lure the guys into the gunfire of the helicopter by standing still for a while and then moving. When the helicopter's about to shoot, it'll get the guys to go where you're at. The other way you can do it is if you hit some of the guys briefly, you can kind of stun them in place and then they'll get shot by the helicopter. The main thing is trying to direct everybody into the fire of the helicopter is the best way to play it. And of course, focus immediately on moving through, so, you know, just do slides or whatever you need to do to get away from all the enemies. And try to group them together when you can and lure them into the helicopter fire. You don't want to spend too much time doing any combos on guys or anything like that if you can avoid it, because, you know, the longer you stand in place, the higher probability you're going to get gunned down, which, if you get shot, it does massive damage. It can kill you outright, depending how much health you have, I think, but yeah, it's better not to get shot. I like using the berserk mode for this part mainly to be able to like run faster and move around the arena faster. That's a good use of berserk mode in some segments. Like the boss fight with the train, I found it very useful. Sometimes it's good just to use it just to be able to run around fast and get around. Because it's more of a survival sequence where you just have to you know, run around and just let the helicopter shoot everyone dead. You saw at the end I grouped everybody together and got a nice amount of kills in one shot, so that's what I recommend trying to do for that. So yeah, I got a double kill here on one rage meter use. And I did that by hitting circle twice in close proximity to the enemies, being able to grab both of them fast. See, I did it again. It's a fast way to clean out enemies if you have a full rage meter. And I recommend that technique for saving it up for like some of the trickier enemies if you can. I didn't really care here because I don't think this was a hard segment, so I was just, you know, I died, so I was just using my rage meter just to, you know, just to progress. But in harder scenarios, it's good to save it up for the harder enemies and get instant kills on some of the harder enemies, like the fat guys or the SWAT guys. Any enemy that gives you trouble, it's a good way to save it up and just get an instant kill and take them out. So it's something to keep in mind for that. If you kind of budget it properly, you can utilize it for what you need. This part can be hard because there's a lot of SWAT guys at the end, but I'll show you what I did here. For these fat guys, it's very, very easy. You'll have a full rage bar because it's a checkpoint. So while they're grouped together, just use your rage and get 2 instant kills by, using rage meter and then hitting circle twice on them to instantly kill them. Now just get this guy on the ground and just ground pound him to death. And that takes care of all 3 fat guys. Very easy. Sometimes one of them will twitch and you can get some more rage refill, but you only need to use one of your rage segments to take out all 3 of the fat guys. Now for this, you may want to use your rage meter again to take out some of these guys if they're giving you trouble. Here I just do some general crowd control, and I think I end up using a gun here. Yeah, so the gun kind of clears them out. If you can, it would be good to bring a gun over for the SWAT guys, though. It would be better to bring the gun over for this segment, because this is the hardest part of this checkpoint. But if you can, try to pick up another gun and use it to take out the SWAT guys. It'll make it a lot easier. So, just deal with them until you can get some, use your rage if you have it, obviously. Try to get two instant kills with the rage. Now take out this guy with the gun if you can, and, see, I got 4 instant kills by using rage twice, so that was really good. Now with the gun, you can just finish him off. So it shouldn't be too bad if you focus on trying to get that gun. And, conserving your rage for when you need it. Here, try to get the sword immediately. This is a pretty hard part. There's a lot of fucking enemies and there's guys with guns, so it can be tricky. Because they can pretty much instantly kill you a lot of times, so... Focus on getting that sword. And if you hit your dash and then not triangle that you would for the slide, but if you hit dash and then your punch button, you'll do a running sword slash that you see me use a lot, and I try to group guys together with it and take out multiple with each swing. It's a lot better than just standing still and swinging the sword. So I do use that where I just stand still and swing the sword, but I mix it up because it's good to try to get dashing hits. They're a lot faster, and you can move a lot faster that way. So you want to constantly keep moving and grouping guys together, and it can be tricky because they'll really mob you and beat the shit out of you. So it's not as easy as it looks, but it didn't take me too long. But yeah, you're just going to have to try to group them together. Of course, try to take out priority targets like SWAT members and guys with guns, obviously. You want to always take those guys out first if you can. Now this part, there's a few things to know. It's basically, I found it better to avoid the enemies pretty much, like the dogs and the shielded guys. I think it's better to avoid them and just focus on jump kicking the guy as he gets on the ladder. The way it works is you don't have to worry about doing a specific amount of damage to the fucking bald guy on the ladder. Like, you can suplex him off the ladder, but there's really no point because, as far as I can tell, the Ripper told me it's just based on how many times you knock him off the ladder. So it's not damage based, as far as I can tell. So I recommend just jump kicking him off the ladder whenever he climbs up. And try to ignore and move around and avoid the other enemies. Don't worry about killing them. After you knock him off the ladder a certain amount of times, the sequence just ends and you don't have to fight the rest of the enemies. So with that in mind, just focus on knocking a guy off the ladder and trying to survive. And if using Berserk mode is very useful here just to move around fast and get to that ladder fast and just avoid the enemies. But don't worry about trying to kill the guys. Just try to ignore them if you can. The dogs are very fucking annoying. Had I remembered, I would have jumped in the air and grabbed the dogs as they jump at you, because that's a really good way to take them out. But I had not played in a while, and I forgot about the dog tactic. But as long as you focus on this guy, eventually after you jump kick him maybe 4 or 5 times off the ladder, he's dead. So, or at least you beat him. So you'll move on to the final checkpoint of the game, which is the hardest part of the game. As far as I'm concerned, it's a very hard part. I do have some tips. Some of them I got from the Ripper and just playing it. For this first part, you have to throw the syringes at the wall either the left or right wall a certain amount of times, and then the wall will just die, and you'll be on the next phase of the boss. There's 3 forms to the boss. What I recommend doing is staying near either the left or right wall so that you can throw all the enemies into the wall and kill them instantly. Otherwise, you get a ton of enemies moving around, and it makes it very hard to do anything. So you'll see me do it in a little bit. I don't do that right away in this attempt, but you'll see that I stay next to the wall, and I start throwing the guys into either the left or the right wall, and it kills them instantly. It clears out the arena, and it allows you to pick up the syringes and then throw them. A lot of times enemies get in the way when you throw the syringe, and then they'll take the syringe hit and it doesn't go into the wall. So by killing them fast, you leave yourself a lot of clearance so that you have space to throw the syringe directly into the wall. So just stay near the left or right wall and throw those guys in the opposite direction. As you may know, when you throw somebody, you can press left or right on the direction to throw them either left or right. So throw them facing into the wall. Throw them into that wall. Get rid of them. And get those syringes into the wall. Now, the Ripper pointed out to me that you can try to save a bunch of syringes. Maybe like 3 syringes or more. Like killing some guys and just leaving syringes on the middle of the arena, pretty much. And if you do that, you'll be able to use the syringes on the tentacles that are coming in the second phase. Throwing a syringe through one of these tentacles will kill it instantly, as well as you can line up like 3 or more tentacles and just throw a syringe through it and kill them all with one throw. You can take out like 3 or more with one throw if you line it up properly, because the syringe will just pass through and kill whatever it passes through for these tentacles. It may even be a glitch. So if you want to do that, you can, but I found this part to be quite easy. I usually don't take any real damage on this part, except for maybe a few bugs climbing on me. The main thing is just dash around and punch these tentacles and just keep moving. The bugs are the most annoying part because they'll slow you down and they'll do a little bit of damage. So just you dash to get rid of them, get them off you with dashing, or I think punching. And the idea is, what I recommend trying to do is save your full rage meter if you can for the final form, which is this part here. After you kill all the tentacles, now you're on the final form of the boss, which is the hardest phase. And I'd recommend saving your rage, your berserk mode, for see, I used it early here, but I would recommend saving it for when he uses up all his he throws out all his syringes, and then you can damage him. Use the rage mode for that part and just punch the shit out of the guy. Try to group them so that you can hit him while you're hitting the opponents that are fucking with you. That way they don't distract you, knock you off of your attacks on the main boss. But yeah, after using rage mode on him on his first form, you can get him into his second form very quickly. Or not second form, but yeah, his final skinless form, pretty much. And then using rage mode again, you can potentially take him out in one beatdown session. So it is a pretty effective way to take him out. You can save up that rage for the end. It seems to do accelerated damage. It really kills him fast. Otherwise, you'll be going through a lot of rounds of those punches where he becomes vulnerable. You punch him a bunch of times, and you got to repeat that a shitload of times, maybe 7 times, without rage. And that's if you're getting in all your punches. So it's a lot harder if you don't do that technique. I suggest saving up your rage and saving it for when the boss is vulnerable and just punching the shit out of him. And yeah, that's pretty much my recommendations for this level. Hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.